Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Innovation Week presentation of the new Leadership, Diplomacy, and National Security Lab at Arizona State University. I think we are one of the newest initiatives of the university. We are part of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and we'd like to, for this afternoon session, introduce you to our lab and various components of our work that'll give you a taste of the kind of offerings that we have to connect to the centerpiece of Arizona State University, and that is all of you as a student family of ASU. Next slide, please. Our mission is to advance character-driven leadership, diplomacy, and national security, education, and training. And we do our work across the full range of the university enterprises and contribute both to the educational, the learning, and of course, the knowledge enterprise mission of the university. We are a group of diplomatic and national security professionals who are dedicated to providing what ASU calls learner-centered solutions and thought leadership, using our networks here in Washington, where our offices are, and employing state-of-the-art learning tools such as ASU's Decision Theater, of which there is a version right here at the Barrett and O'Connor Center in Washington, D.C. as well. Next slide. This is our team. Lieutenant General Benjamin Franklin is a three-star U.S. Army general and special advisor to President Crow for leadership initiatives, as well as the executive director of ASU's Decision Theater. My name is Michael Polt. I'm a former U.S. ambassador, 35 years in the diplomatic service, and I am in a new position called the ASU Ambassador-in-Residence. And we'll be talking about these various functions as we go through our presentation today. Next team member is Ambassador Edward O'Donnell, who is a professor of practice in the School of Politics and Global Studies and leads our educational mission, of which he will talk to you about in the course of this afternoon. And most importantly is Ms. Kathy Cook, the program director, our lab director of the Leadership, Diplomacy, and National Security Lab, who keeps all of us in line and who keeps our mission driven and going forward. Next slide, please. The first element of our work is leadership, education, and training, in which we offer two broad categories of that type of education and training. One we call character-driven leadership workshops, which are tailored, shorter-term programs that last anywhere from 5 hours to can be up to 2 weeks, to provide character-driven leadership orientation, training, and education to a variety of different groups, starting with, of course, ASU students, but also ASU faculty and staff, and ASU partners in the United States and around the world. We also are working on creating a set of undergraduate and graduate leadership certificates, which will be awarded through our lab. Our other program is called ASU Global Leaders, which is a full-scale leadership development program, which we are developing and preparing right now in collaboration with our partners at the Sandra Day O'Connor Law School, which will be offered both in person and online as we develop it for ASU and US and international leaders. More on that to come in the new year. Next slide, please. The next part of our program is the Office of the ASU Ambassador-in-Residence, the one that I fill. I sit in Washington, D.C., as I said earlier, in the Barrett and O'Connor Center in Washington. In that context, I will tell you a little bit more about my functioning as we get to a later segment of our presentation. I will be involved in international career counseling for students, preparation for international careers, and advancement of careers of individuals already in foreign affairs and international career positions. Amongst the two major initiatives in this particular part of our program, we'll be working together with Harvard University on a proposal to redesign the U.S. Foreign Service to make it a modern institution prepared for the challenges of our diplomacy in the 21st century. Also, in this context of our program, we'll be offering foreign policy for what we call Foreign Policy for America masterclasses. Those will be short, spurt, 1 to 1.5 hour masterclasses on key international affairs issues to allow people to taste the kind of issues that are affecting our globe today, from bilateral relations to multilateral relations in virtually every sector of America's international engagement. Next slide. And our third component is our international affairs education, to which Ambassador O'Donnell will speak to very briefly to give you a taste of particularly one of those areas that we are already actively engaged in and have been for a number of years. It's called the Policy Design Studio, the US Foreign Policy in Action. And it actually puts students who sign up for a semester of this course in the position of being US diplomats at an American embassy overseas, working a US diplomatic relationship with any specific country. It's a real live exercise. Ambassador O'Donnell and another former ambassador lead these policy design studios, and they are one of the most exciting offerings that we have in our quiver. Starting the fall of next year, we also are planning to launch a unique new master's degree in the School of Politics and Global Studies dedicated to international affairs and leadership. It will be delivered online with a hybrid component where students join for roughly a week at the onset of the degree study and another week at the end of that. More of that will be coming out in the course of the new year as we advertise for that program and launch it, as I said, in the fall of 2021. That, in a nutshell, and very briefly, is the new Leadership, Diplomacy, and National Security Lab that we have just launched. And now we'll turn it over to Ambassador O'Donnell to talk to us about one of our most exciting offerings in the International Affairs Education section. So just to remind you, we are the new kids on the ASU block, despite our ages, except for Kathy, who's our young leader. We are a team of practitioners in international and foreign affairs and national security. We are here as an asset, as a resource to you who have an interest in international affairs and leadership. We have told you about the 3 elements. I'm just about to close with the 3rd element in a moment, about 3 elements of leadership development, training, and education. We gave you a little bit of a fun example here to work with. We also have formal classes in the Policy Design Studio, which is upper division undergraduates, and about to be launched master's degree in international affairs and leadership in the fall of next year. The final portion I'm just about to come to right now is called the Ambassador-in-Residence function. Why does ASU need an Ambassador-in-Residence? The idea here is for this to be an additional resource for the university as it continues to expand its already impressive national and international footprint to provide you, the students, the maximum amount of resources for you to enter careers in the international arena. So someone like I and my colleagues are together here to go ahead and provide you that resource for your interest in international affairs. I've put in here the definition of what an ambassador is, not terribly important for this particular exercise, but once you engage with us and in this particular portion of our work, we can of course make that very, very clear to you. And of course, Ambassador O'Donnell does a lot of that work in the Policy Design Studio class. Let's go on, Mark. The next slide gives you a couple of the functions of our office, which is in Washington, D.C. We will be publishing early in the new year online office hours that you can count on, where you can write in, call in, schedule an actual Zoom session, and in future get-together when you find yourself in Washington or I'm in Tempe, for us to go ahead and have conversations about your interest in international affairs and international careers. We will have a function called Ask the Ambassador and Ask the General, which will again be something we will be offering online, where you can just simply ask any kind of a question that you'd like one of us to answer in our respective fields of background, and we will be able to provide you those kinds of responses. In Washington, we will also be designing a roundtable of international ambassadors, foreign ambassadors to the United States, to acquaint them with the ASU family, and that includes you. So we will look forward to opportunities to go ahead either virtually or in person to let you be part of those roundtables, where we'll be discussing a variety of international initiatives, both by Arizona State University and of course by these ambassadors who represent their countries in the United States. Next slide. Part of my function will also be international career counseling, preparation, and as I said, advancement. Amongst the elements of things that we'll be doing here is I'll be teaching diplomatic tradecraft skills training. Ambassador O'Donnell does a lot of that, as well as Ambassador Moore in the policy design studio classes, but I will actually have a specific segment, a sort of a mini workshop masterclass in the kind of skills that American diplomats have that I would argue to you are skill sets that will advance you in whatever career you choose to pursue as you leave the university and begin your professional life. We'll also have career mentorship, and we will also actually have a part of our work dedicated to the career development of existing US diplomats in the middle of their career. Next slide. We will be working on, as I mentioned in the very beginning, a collaboration between ASU and Harvard University on a blueprint for modernizing the US Foreign Service. This will actually involve work on helping design a new piece of legislation that modernizes the United States Foreign Service, the US diplomatic service. And the opportunity for students will be to be part of that research and that design, to actually be on the ground level, to actually look at how do we build an effective modern diplomatic service in support of US foreign policy objectives, and not just US. For our international students, they will have similar applicability because a diplomatic service is a diplomatic service. The kind of thing that we are looking for to do for the US Foreign Service would very much be applicable to international diplomatic services as well. And finally, we'll be working with the Training Institute of the US State Department to offer them the possibility of creating a graduate economics degree for existing US diplomats in the economic field. Again, an opportunity for students to participate in the research and the planning of such an exercise. I think it'll be a very worthwhile and interesting experience. So we're a bunch of practitioners. We're here for you. We hope we gave you enough to think about, gave you a little bit of a taste that maybe made you think that, gosh, I would like to go ahead and talk some more to these folks and take advantage of some of these opportunities which we are just now fleshing out, and some of them which are already in operation.